Welcome to NCIX Tech Tips. Now, there's graphics cards, okay? So there's like, usually a number and then like some kind of a suffix like a 660 Ti, okay? So there's that. And then the individual graphics card manufacturers often bring a wide variety of different versions to market, whether it's a twin Frozer or a super clocked or a direct CU or whatever else the case may be. Today we're going to be taking a look at a pretty extreme example. So we're going to take a very high end of a lower class of GPU. So this is a premium gaming edition 650 Ti boost. Then we're going to take the most basic of basics of GTX 660s. In this case, it's an EVGA reference card that runs at just bare stock frequencies. And we're going to investigate. When you get up to the very high end of a particular GPU, would you be better off spending a couple bucks more and getting a higher class of product in the first place, or are you better off with these factory overclocked and much more impressive looking products? Stay tuned. This 650 Ti boost costs about $200, okay, after mail-in rebate. It has an aftermarket cooler, so dual fan cooler. It looks really good. It's got all the usual outputs. It's got all that stuff going for it, but it is a 650 Ti boost, which is based on the same graphics core as the 660, but the 660 is a higher class of product. So while the clock speeds might not be that different and the memory might not be that different, it has more CUDA cores, more SMXs than the other product, and it only costs about $10 more. So they're both around the $200 mark. This one is a little bit higher. It doesn't necessarily have the baller looking cooler. It has a reference cooler on it. It has a reference PCB that is a shorter PCB with a plastic extension. Still takes a, one PCI Express cable. It's got all the outputs. So in terms of the sheer gaming performance, we wanted to know how they compared to each other. So we took 3 games, Far Cry 3, Crysis 2, and Witcher 2. These are demanding games, and we put them head to head. So we didn't get to overclock our reference card, and we didn't further overclock our already overclocked card. We just went and we went, okay, go for it, guys. Let's see how things go. And we were pretty interested in the results. So the spoiler alert here, guys, is buy a better GPU. Buy a higher class of product unless there's a compelling reason that you need the lower class of product with the premium features. For example, if you were more concerned with silence and you wanted a dual fan cooler, you might go with a 650 Ti boost. If you were more concerned with actual gaming performance or just generally performance in anything that utilizes your graphics card, such as Adobe Premiere or After Effects, go with the better GPU technology inside. So in Far Cry 3, we went from 36 FPS average on the 650 Ti boost overclocked to 40 FPS average. It's a 10% improvement. In Crysis 2, we went from 77 FPS to 84 FPS. About a 10% improvement. You guys noticing a pattern here? In Witcher 2, we went from 51 FPS to 58 FPS, about a 13% improvement. We'll call it a 10% improvement for the sake of consistency here. I like 10% improvements. So what does that mean? It's like when you go from one NVIDIA architecture to another one, it's NVIDIA writing all the drivers, so there's no real variation from application to application. If you take an AMD and an NVIDIA card, and they might like trade blows and have performance that goes back and forth. But when you take 2 NVIDIA cards, one of which just has a stronger GPU, and the other one has a weaker GPU, but like other features, then it's all about deciding what's right for you. But my recommendation is if you're after gaming performance, get the more powerful graphics card. Buy a 670 as opposed to a 660 Ti overclocked. Buy a 660 as opposed to a 650 Ti boost overclocked. This won't necessarily always be the case. There may be extreme examples where a classified edition of a next tier down GPU actually does exceed the one above it. But remember too, that overclocking is easy and free, and you can use utilities like EVGA Precision or MSI Afterburner to continue to overclock this card, whereas the one that comes factory overclocked is already overclocked and may be close to the limit of what it is capable of when you get it out of the box. Thank you for checking out this episode of NCIX Tech Tips, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this from your favorite e-tailer, ncix.com.